Welcome everyone to episode number 2 of Notes with Jack. My name's Alan Fox, and I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend, Jack O'Brien. Hey, so
I'm
what's
still
going on?
here. I'm
What's
still
going
here.
what's going on that side of New York? It's
Oh, I want to talk about it today. It's the inaugural day. I'm stressed, I'm depressed, and
right.
I'm determined.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I am.
determination is a good thing. So what?
Yeah.
It's week 2 with Ghost now, right?
Oh, it is Week 2 of Ghosts.
Yeah. So what's going on?
Well,
What's
it's that's. I was just thinking about this. Uh, it- you've you've never been with me when I've done the other side of the ledger. This is
What do you mean?
this is dark drama. This
All
is
right.
heavy duty, an extraordinarily great play that is painful and that is um, you're watching these people that you love in front of you chart their course through something that is programmed to be devastating, illuminating, brilliant, yes, but hard,
Yeah.
sad, difficult.
Yeah. We were talking the other day about how you emotionally feel like you have to go there with everyone too to help guide them through it.
It's not only that. I'm suddenly thinking the deal is I'm sitting out in front and they're in front of me sort of with a script and they're trying to find their way around the set and do I sit, do I stand, do I move, what am I to do here? And I'm sort of the early distant warning signal
Right.
because I know where we're going, I know where I think we should go, I see ahead where they're headed, and I have to somehow give them courage and validation and the kind of support that will allow them not to hurt themselves. I mean, it sounds a little dramatic, I know, but these actors put themselves at the service of what people like you as writers program.
Yeah.
And you imagine it, and then they take the ride.
Yeah. And when you say hurt themselves, is that like a we're going somewhere emotionally we're not ready for yet? Or we go to the like how what does that look like whenever
Well,
you're
whatever it is, it isn't what you planned on today.
right, right, right,
I
right.
mean, you have your own world, your own responsibilities, your family, your jobs, whatever. But then you put this other persona on and you go with it. You go with it to validate it, to make it real, to make the illusion that it's actually happening. And in order to do that, I keep saying it, it's the mysteries
Yeah.
of what theater is all about. And I mean, over this period of time, maybe we'll talk more about why we even do it.
Right,
Why is it essential? Why does it never change?
right.
Why do we always think it's over? Why do we think that it's dying, that no one's going to do it anymore? It never does.
Yeah.
It never goes away.
What do you think that is?
Well, I have a theory that the first thing that happens to us sociologically
Yeah.
as a people or in reality is we're told stories.
Right.
When you're a baby, you're put to bed and people usually tell you a story to
Yeah.
get you to go to sleep or to occupy your time or even to instruct you.
Yeah.
So we are a society of people who learn by what? Like application, by trying on another idea, what the world around us is like.
Yeah.
A world that we will maybe never ever explore to that degree. And I think he's so emotional.
Yes.
No, you are. I guess it prepares you for life.
Yeah.
You get to empathize.
Yeah.
Excuse me. You get to empathize. You get to try on other feelings, and it's instructive and it's preventative. And we're a society of stories.
Yeah. I have
And
this thought. I want to jump in on what you said right there about how it prepares us for life. Because I actually have this thought, I'm always telling you, I think the story finds us.
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
think, and I don't know how the whole cosmic dance works, but I think there is something about whatever is in the DNA of a certain story. As we're moving into whatever that emotional through line is that we'll be living in our lives, I think that story tends to find us there. Like I have this thing where when I'm writing and I'm really clicked into writing, I can almost feel what part of my actual life is going to lead me into that emotional arc. It's not always at the same time, but I can feel it coming. And I think that a lot with actors and actresses. I think that, I've even argued that with you, with directors. It's like we all hook into a story in a certain way. And I think a lot of times it's coming from a different, somewhere else
Well,
that's calling us there.
let
Sorry, I
me
had a
let
theme.
me let me bring this in a little bit more to home.
Yeah.
Why am I doing ghosts?
Right. Well, yeah, exactly.
Just to bring it into context,
Yeah.
I had another play in mind, a brand new play by Hamish Linklater that I workshopped in the summer last year at Williamstown, and I believed in, and it's a very black comedy, and it's weird, dark, fabulous. I want to do it one day. Anyway, I wanted to bring this to Andre Bishop
Yeah.
because I've done a lot of work there and we have a wonderful relationship. And what he does is he says, okay, we'll do a reading. So we got a group of people together. In this case, the people who did it came down together to do a reading for Andre.
Yeah.
We read it as well as we could. No, he didn't think so.
Yeah.
And yet I had these people in my shoulder and I love them and wanted to work more with them. And Andre wants me to do something. And so the idea is the pitch is, not this play, but is there something else you'd like to do? Gee,
Yeah.
okay, I got to come up with something.
Yeah.
And years ago, I did this play, Ghosts, when I was artistic director at the Globe with wonderful actors. And I thought I knew it. And I guess maybe I think I was saying, here's a practical solution, 5 actors. It's not going to cost you a lot of money. Great play. Why not?
Right.
I had no idea, Alan.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a different person now. This was 10, 15 years ago. This translation that we got, a brand new translation from this Irish playwright, a translator who had done this version a year ago. It caused a sensation in Ireland. I read it. It's blunt. It's clean. It's not filled with Victoriana. It sounds modern, but it doesn't sound contemporary. I had no idea what I was putting myself into and the company.
Right.
The play is unbelievably great.
So what about Hamish and them? Did they find something in Ghost that they're like, oh, this did it find them? And if it did, then you're just partially the conduit to help them find this as well.
Well, yes, sort of. I mean, we wanted to keep working together, and he and Lily Rabe, his partner, when the mother of his 3 children, um, we wanted to keep going. We're sort of into it, We're having a great time, and so you come, and they're really theater monster people. I mean, they love, like me, they love theater, and
Yeah.
so, and they hadn't done a play in a while in New York and all. It was a big deal. Um, and here's a great play. Oh, well, we don't know. Oh, good, let's read it. So we read it
Right.
for Andre,
Right.
with Ethan Hawke and his daughter Maya, because Ethan and I have worked together a lot, and he wants her to work with me at some time.
Yeah.
And we thought she was going to be available, and then she wasn't available, and then wait a minute, who's going to read the kid? Well, we don't have anybody. Well, what about Ethan's son,
Yeah.
Levon? He's just out of Brown. He's just graduated. He's really smart. Okay, read it. Well, he turned out to be like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So it all just sort of to explode around us. But I mean, we were sort of getting an opportunity, solving a problem. Let's get together and put on a play. And then you put on the play.
Right.
And then you think, oh my God, it's brutal. It's brutal.
Yeah.
So this is a different me.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is me on the other end of the spectrum. And I'm not doing anything. I'm sitting there. I mean, I'm interacting with the actors and I'm suggesting things and I'm looking ahead and I'm trying to help them be comfortable and real and honest. And at the end of the day, I am devastated.
Yeah.
And
Do you
then I,
do you think that, I mean, getting back to what you said earlier about how part of your job during this phase, during week 2, is to help protect the actors and actresses, from hurting themselves. Do you feel like that's part of a director's craft? Because I want to get into craft too, because you and I have been talking about that some. It's like, is that part of what you learned as a way of craft, or do you think that's more inherently you? Like, how do you feel about that?
well, first of all, I sort of don't know how to answer this because directors don't see other directors.
Right.
Writers can be in a
But
room
when
with
but
a,
when you were learning, when wherever you learned your craft, do you feel like that was a skill or a tactic or an understanding that you gained from someone else, or something intuitively you sort of picked up on?
watching the masters who taught me
Yeah.
and watching their process. I saw how they're steering a ship in a safe direction, and that good ones are totally responsible as much as possible. They're there with you
Yeah.
to make the jumps and turn the corners and understand what pain and joy and love and betrayal are all about, having those conversations. Um, if you don't, the actors turn against you.
Hmm.
They feel betrayed.
Do you have to learn that the hard way, or is that something
Well,
that you?
no, I've
Right.
never had that problem, but
Right.
I know people who do.
Yeah.
And I hear actors talk about other experiences where they say, I'll never go there again
Yeah.
because they brought everything to the table and the director, whoever that may be, has not done their homework, doesn't have respect for acting, as Uta Hagen used to say, doesn't really, is into something else, power, I don't know,
Yeah.
but doesn't care for them enough.
Yeah, that was something, it's interesting because when we were working on Safe Space, I remember the student character, this woman that was playing her. I remember one time her asking if she could speak with me as the writer, and kind of coming to me and saying, like, there's some things in here I don't think I would say. And there was a lot of that kind of discussion, right? And it's funny because I remember feeling like, how do you navigate the sweet spot of executing what you know the whole to be versus kind of negotiating the moment to moment with a single actor or actress? Do you know what I mean? It's like, because I think that you and I both can bond over this, is as the writer and the director, you're kind of in a 20,000 foot, is that the phrase? 20,000 foot view, right? Where you're looking at the
Yeah,
whole playing field,
absolutely.
versus I think actors and actresses oftentimes are
Are going
playing moment
moment
to
to moment.
moment
They are.
because that's their craft and that's their
Right.
story. And
And
it's
that's
interesting.
they have to be real every minute of the time they're there.
Right,
So yeah,
right,
right.
exactly. And that was something even on High and Low when I was working on it. One thing Denzel really gave me a talking to about was my character wouldn't do this. And I'm on the other end of the phone being like, "Well, yeah, but we need this to happen for the movie, for the thing. It's like the whole story." And he's like, "Yeah, but if my character wouldn't do it,
Let
I'm
me tell
not going to do it."
let
Right.
me tell you a story.
Right.
Years ago, when I
Yeah.
was a young apprentice, I was working with the great director Alan Schneider, who
Mhm.
was the director who did Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf.
Yeah. Great,
Major career,
and
right?
great name.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
yes. You had that in common.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes. Yeah.
okay.
Okay. Okay.
I'm now off my feed, but don't
Sorry.
worry about
Sorry. Sorry.
that.
Sorry.
Um, and we're in rehearsal for this play that Archibald MacLeish wrote called Hercules.
Right.
And the great American English actress Rosemary Harris, who was the leading lady of the company, is playing the woman. It's really about her. And the reason Alan wanted to do the play was we had Rosie and he wanted to direct her. So we're in rehearsals. And that moment comes up.
Hmm.
And Rosemary says she was getting all fired up. And Alan was not the easiest
Right.
or the most sympathetic of directors. Anyway, a little bit cool, a little bit objective.
Right.
Do it my way, right? So there was a little bit of grading going on there. And she says at one point, Alan, I can't say that. My character would not say that. And there was a long pause, and he said, she might. And Rosemary went, yeah, she might. I mean, you have to, was such a brilliant thing
Yeah.
for him to say, not to say, listen, do it.
Yeah.
He just put it into a place where she had to jiggle her thinking and thinking, yeah, I mean, I'm always saying to kids, just try it.
Hmm.
Or if they have an idea and I don't agree with it, I say, well, try it. Let's see.
Yeah.
Because the truth is the truth.
Right. Right.
And there are more than one way to do that.
Yeah.
And if your truth is better than my truth, that's the truth I want.
Right. Yeah, that's no, I mean that's absolutely,
She
and
might.
that comes with, I love that. I love that.
Pretty
And that,
cool.
yeah, that's really cool. And it comes with an idea around too, like what I like hearing about you talking about that idea of we'll try it. Seems like the best way to also not have that presence and ego, because it's also an exercise in like who can, you don't want to get defensive. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's so hard to be up there and be so vulnerable as an actor and actress. It's so hard to stand up in front of people and say, I'm the director, I know the way to go. And you're risking it maybe not being the right way. Like the less, I always feel like it's almost like like you treated the Irish playwright, right? It's like the less defensive you can get about what people are needing and asking from you when they're walking through the door, the more of like, let's just try it. Like, let's just see, like, let's just not get an ego about this and work our way through it. That feels like part of the craft as well of directing that maybe is a superpower you learn.
However, it can go very wrong
Right.
because somebody, and we're talking about people willing to be vulnerable with each other, to help each other, to try things. Some people have an agenda.
Yeah.
Some people are coming in with what, fear or inadequacy or whatever behind them, and they're not, they can only see it one way. What do you do then?
What do
What
you,
do,
well, you're the master. What do you
well,
do
you,
then?
well, you set me up.
Right.
You,
Okay.
you tell me. What would you do?
When I feel that people have an
That's,
agenda,
yeah,
when I feel they do,
yeah,
the first thing I do is try to find common ground with them. And this is
good.
anything in life. Anytime I meet someone that I feel like they're coming at me with an agenda, my first reaction, again, is not to get defensive or combative back. It's to figure out, okay, where are we alike? And where can I meet you on common ground so that then we can have this negotiation? Because
You're
go ahead.
you're a born director.
Right. Well, I'm come from a long line of Allens. No, but you know what I mean? It's like where can I match your whatever so that at least we're speaking the same language in one place and we work up or down from there.
If you can't move them,
Yeah.
sometimes that's the game, baby.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't.
Yeah.
If an ego gets in the way of a star says, I need to do this way, you have to you you're absolutely right. The one thing you want to avoid is direct confrontation. But you sometimes have to eat it
Yeah.
because they don't have the capacity to change, or they just are terrified to change. I've often said the only time I've ever had difficulty with an actor is when they were for two reasons. They were over their head and couldn't believe it. There was why did I say I could do this? I can't play this part. They're terrified. Or they think you aren't listening to them.
Hmm. Yeah.
And if you think if they're in a play and the director isn't caring about them, they get rigid.
Yeah.
Those are the only two times I've ever had that happen in my entire career.
Yeah.
And they both happened briefly, but I had to get through it because I'd never encountered it before.
Do you,
Sometimes you don't know that an actor's terrified, that they've taken on a role. I mean, we've talked about this. Denzel is about to play Othello. Denzel, I know because I know people who know him, not you, who tell me his entire life he's wanted to play that part, and he knows every word of it now. He's
hmm.
memorized it all, but he's frightened of the part, of what happens to the part, what happens to the character. How does he feel about this? I want to do this. I know some of the greatest poetry ever written and a great part, but he suffers. He dies at the end.
Yeah. Is it, well, I mean, you think about it, right? I mean, we speak about Denzel Washington for a second, like he's a, because he's like a symbol more so almost than a person, right? To even the people that know him, right? He's a symbol almost. And I wonder, is it fear, or is it maybe it's not time yet? You know what I mean? To play, because again, getting back full circle to our conversation around like and not, discounting age or whatever. It's like getting back to our conversation around when does the part, why does a play find you? Right? It's like, is he now, maybe he's at a point in his life for whatever emotional through line he's going through in his life, that now this character comes in, and maybe there's a part of him that is dying now. You know what I mean? Like, and that could be, it could
Or
be a number of things.
yeah, or having avoided it for 25 years, he now feels he has to go through it in order to what? Survive. He doesn't
Yeah.
want to admit to himself, I had the opportunity and I never took it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and sometimes, I mean, because if you are someone at the stature, and as he's arguably the greatest actor of the last 100 years or whatever, it's like if he's done all of this, maybe there is that thing of like, you just need to prove it to yourself. Like, why do anything else at this point if you're not proving something to yourself, if you're him?
But also, that's not just the theater.
Right, right,
That's life. I
right,
mean,
right.
how many times do we say to ourselves, I I can't, I want to do this, but I can't. And then later you think, why did I say that? I lost. I should have taken that. That's an awful thing to
Yeah,
say. I missed an opportunity.
yeah. I actually feel sometimes, because I want to actually, what I want to get to is, have you ever felt like you said that? Are there times, and if you did, do you honestly feel like life didn't take you in a big circle to bring you back to that moment once again and give you another shot at it?
I'm sure this is wrong, but
Yeah.
I don't say no very often. I really.
Right. Right.
And I mean, I realize my life is full of events because I said yes.
Yeah.
I'll go there. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a destiny. I did not have, I've got to be a brain surgeon, or I want to go to space, or I want to be president. I didn't have any of those things. I sort of was, I, I think I was afraid of the future, afraid that I might be going in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is, my father died when I was 18,
Yeah.
just at the moment I was becoming into my adulthood. And you do a lot of things to help to please the generation ahead of you,
Yeah.
to justify the fact that they love you and they've taken care of you and they think they believe in you. And suddenly he was gone.
Yeah.
And he would have been a big help to me, I would have supposed, but without him there, I drifted into what I call the natural stream. I
Hmm.
just started living my life.
Yeah.
But I didn't know I was going to do this. This is the last thing I would have expected, that I'd end up in a podcast with you.
Well, you know what's so funny, man? My whole life, that's so funny, because we've had similar, I mean, like, people will hear about it and they'll see it in some of the write-ups and stuff, but you and I have done sort of similar, we've tracked each other similarly sometimes in
Mhm,
our age and what we've done and stuff, and
mhm, mhm.
in our own ways. But I always felt like I had a destiny. I always felt like I had this thing I was supposed to do until right now. And I know that sounds so strange, but this
No,
is
no, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute.
right.
I have to qualify that. I didn't know I had a destiny, but I knew I was special.
Hmm. Yeah.
I knew I was never worried. I didn't have an idea where I was going to end up. I didn't know. It wasn't a role that I wanted to participate in or play. But from the time I was very little,
Yeah.
I knew there was something quite remarkable about me. I just was not afraid.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know if I felt that. I actually felt there was something that I was supposed to do. And I've spent all this time, and I don't think I necessarily did it. It's just one day I woke up and it felt like, wait a minute, I don't think I'm supposed to do this anymore. Or I don't mean, it's so hard to, that thing you're saying, I'm thinking like you're special, right? It's like, for me, it was more like I have to work hard enough to do this thing that I don't even know what it is. And then one day it was like, wait a minute, did I do it and not realize it, or is the thing
Oh,
over? Like, you know
oh,
what I mean?
oh, yes, but this is where you are right now.
Right,
And I went through that door years ago.
right.
You have to, the only thing you can love is change.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't stay the same. And whatever that idea was, it's not today.
yeah,
You have to say, I'm not afraid to change.
yeah,
And I think it's good to have the impulse to say, I think I know where I'm going, but you can't fall in love with that because you're not writing the script.
right. What
You're
was
live
what
you're
was
living it.
what was your moment that you look back on and say that was the big change that happened? And you said like you don't say no a lot, so maybe you never resisted it. But was there a moment of change where you felt like, oh, I resisted this at first or something like that?
Well, look. I mean, I was when I was a kid, I showed off a lot. I could
Well, some things change and some things don't. So no,
exactly, exactly,
right,
and
right.
it's still not working for me. But I no, I would dance and sing and entertain, and I wanted people to like me.
Yeah,
I was funny, not today, but along the line, Um, and so I had this desperate need to be accepted, to be included, um, and it was leading me. I don't know where it was leading me, but when I was at college and I saw Ellis Rabb and Rosemary Harris on the stage. And I saw a play that they were doing that was the epitome of magic and brilliance and sex and uh, like a world I didn't even know existed, but it was valid. It was complete. It wasn't fake. I was gone.
hmm,
And that I couldn't get over it. I never did get over it. I'm still not over it. And I still think in my imagination, I will never match what Ellis could do to mystify, to inspire. And I know I do. Everybody tells me I do,
yeah,
but that doesn't work for me. That put me on a course and I had no other, and then it came to a head. Had come to New York. I was teaching at Hunter College, voice and diction just to make a living. I wanted desperately to be in the theater. I wanted desperately to be next to these people, to watch them, to learn from them. And eventually Ellis said, be my assistant. And I took a 50% cut in money to do it. And then my mother was still alive at the time. And I remember saying, I've got this opportunity, but I'm going to make half the money. And she said, go do it.
hmm,
I think she said that. At least she didn't say, don't do it.
yeah,
So I did.
yeah. And do you remember any trepidation in that choice, or was it like, what?
Sure, still do.
Right. Right.
Well, yeah, of course I
Yeah,
did.
yeah, yeah,
Hey, I have a question for you out in the blue. Can I just do that?
yeah, man. Listen. This is
Do
give.
you think,
Yeah,
just stay with me. Do you think birds have a good time?
I think yes that they have a good time, and
I'm,
I'll say why after you explain to me what brings about that question.
I'm staying in this apartment here,
Right.
and out that window is Broadway
Sure.
and 66th Street. It's a
Yeah.
big cavernous area. And I'm lying in bed watching the news, having coffee in the morning at 7:30. And every morning at 7:30, 30, 40 birds go wheeling around outside my window.
Yeah.
Do, doing sort of, I don't know, are they working out?
Right.
Who's the lead? Who's saying we're going this way? And it's like nuts. You think that the Blue Angels or those people in planes are doing really difficult stuff. You should see these birds,
Right.
and they don't bump into each other, and nothing happens, right?
Right. Right.
And every morning at between 7:30 and 7:50, these birds are out there working out.
And
And
that
I
and
think I really, and I think to myself, I'm thinking about birds, and I'm thinking they must be having a good time. Or why would they do that? They're not getting food.
Right.
They're not getting laid.
Well, I mean, I don't know if they're
Not in the air, they aren't.
yeah, well, no, I mean, maybe not at the time, but I mean, you got to
But
do something else.
they seem to be having this terrific time.
Yeah.
And I thought, what would that be like? I mean, we know that a dog playing with a toy is having fun.
Right.
We know a kitty playing with yarn is amusing itself. So we do know that there's something going on there.
Yeah.
But birds?
Well,
30, 40 birds hanging out? What is that?
but doesn't that sort of speak to, because you know when they all fly together down
Yeah.
south when it gets cold? Well, we're in New York. It's obviously very cold. These birds got to stay here. There's something about them doing it. What?
Alan,
What?
that's birds going in. That's they have a purpose. They have to go south.
Yeah, no, I
These
know.
are birds hanging out.
No, that's what I'm saying. Maybe these birds they don't have to, this is their version of going down south. This is just what they're in their flow. That's what I love about birds, is that it looks like to me when they're really flying that they're in that space where everything just makes sense, at least to me, from my vantage point. And so I'd like to think those birds are in that space as well, which is why I think
I just had to say to myself, and I wanted to ask you about this.
Yeah.
I wanted to say, I think these birds are having fun.
Yeah.
And it never occurred to me. Well, we have fun.
Right.
We know we're attracted to things that amuse us, that make us feel better.
Yeah.
You know, this may not be a waste of time, or maybe it is, but we both enjoy it.
Right. Totally. Well, maybe that's what it is. Because when I see animals, I'm always watching them to think, what can they teach me about what I'm doing? And so maybe this is it. Every morning you get a reminder from these birds to have fun and enjoy when you go to rehearsal.
I'm really liking it.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. All right.
Hey guys, how's it going?
All right. Well, in episode 3, Jack's going to keep us posted on the birds, but for now, we'll have to call it a day. Thank you, Jack. We'll go on into week 3 of Ghost next week, and we'll catch up with you then.
Always a pleasure.
All right. We'll talk to you. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Bye, everyone.